Hey, restorers, welcome to a fresh episode of the Restoration Today podcast. As you can tell, we were just chuckling offline some inside jokes with my guests today who don't really need an introduction. But I am joined by Brandon Reece and Chris Nordyke from Floodlight and now FP Restoration. There's big news going on here. So that is why these gentlemen are here. I'm very excited to have them on here. I really don't know that you guys super need an introduction, but I'm going to toss it over to you because I don't even want to spill all of the beans for people that haven't heard it. I don't want to share the story. It's your story to tell. So whoever wants to take it away, talk about what's going on at Floodlight these days.
Yeah, go for it, Chris.
All right.
I'll jump in behind you.
Well, so we're going on 5 years at Floodlight, and one of our earliest clients, Steve Glozik at FP Restoration, we've been working with him in various ways for the last
Yeah.
little over 4 years, and it was just it's a story of something that went from client to friend to how do we take this thing to the next level, and I think the opportunity today and the journey that we're on now was seeded in a car ride
Yeah.
between Brandon and Steve a few years ago, like early days, and just where that seed was planted, and then a few months ago. So this all happened relatively fast. Steve approached us and says, "Hey, I've got a dream of the four of us making up like the future leadership team at FP." And I think from the very first conversation, it just made sense. It just made sense. And it made sense, and we'll get into this more, it just from where Floodlight is at right now. And we've got a really great team, and like we coach all of our clients. We've got systems, we got process, we got structure in place that give us the bandwidth to do this. And of course, Steve, we've been working with him the last 4 years. And so Steve's got a lot of great things in place that allow us to really occupy these leadership roles. And so we're really, I just got off the phone with Steve actually earlier, and we were dreaming about our sales team and kind of where we're taking things. And all of us, I think, are really just super stoked.
Yeah, super fun. It's true. It's like there's certain things that you can place yourself in terms of scenarios that it's just unrealistic for you to give the right amount of effort and attention to all of those things and do them well. And
Yep.
that's not lost on us. Like we understand that if we don't guard that and we're not careful, that it could be, that can create a problem. But we're fortunate. We've intentionally tried to build Floodlight in a way where we're not self-employed. And, this last year, I very slowly but surely kind of pulled my client book out myself. And so that obviously changed my entire work life in terms of energy and where I can spend some of that energy. And then again, we're not starting from scratch at FP. It's already a phenomenal company. This is a good to great story with them and has nothing to do with like fixing foundations per se. There's always tweaks and modifications and things that you need to work on, but we get to be executives there, and that makes it all the more realistic for us to actually achieve the goals with both teams. So
Do you have a crystal clear way of how you're going to divide? Okay, I don't even know what direction to take this at this point. Talk about your team at Floodlight first, because yes, you do have other consultants. I know that Wayne also is joining at FP. He has a role there as well as, I'm guessing, staying involved in Floodlight. So talk about your different consultants. Talk about the team at Floodlight and how that part of this conversation is going to move forward.
yeah, that's great. So few things. One, we've started to really hone Floodlight's focus on being a real fractional service provider. We just have seen that there's so many talented people in the industry that can offer insight and direction and guidance, and we just felt like there was this pretty clear path that was beginning to open up for Floodlight where we can really hone in on being a fractional partner to our clients. So again, just for the sake of clarity, we're really doubling down on being and providing fractional sales leadership, and then the other one being that operational guidance and operational leadership. And so we've got 3 or 4 consultants on each side of the fence right now with those two departments or teams. And then one of the things that's also happening is and it's part of the broader story why this is all possible is that, Leighton, our friend at Know How, he introduced us to somebody in his sphere who had grown and already shown like what's possible when you operate a professional services company. And because we like to take the same medicine that we dish out, we brought in a partner to help us design this company and help us think strategically about what we're doing. And so not only have they been paralleling us now for quite some time, but there's also some additional way now that we can bring them into the system to continue to create more resources and support for Floodlight as it continues to grow and scale. And so that's very exciting. There's a lot of details around that that's still being developed, and we'll be communicating that internally and externally soon. But anyways, full steam ahead with Floodlight. There's a ton of resources being reinvested into that entity, more leadership that's coming in to provide additional layers of support and equipping of that team. And there's just a ton of momentum and excitement around what Floodlight is going to continue to do. We're really excited about it. So
Perfect. Chris, anything you want to add to that one?
Yeah, well, I just the fractional piece has been a big move for us. We were listening to our clients and talking with people at conferences, and it just seems like there's been a big boom in terms of like coaches and consultants, not just in restoration, but across all the service verticals.
Yep.
And I think now with what's happening with AI and ChatGPT, I mean, shoot, as I'm sure most of the people listening, I get in conversations with ChatGPT. I can get any answer. I can get robust answers in terms of knowledge, right, and what to do and how to do it from a robot now, right? And so we see the writing on the wall, and we're like, we feel like there's a huge appetite, not just in our space, but that's where we're going to focus for doers.
Yeah.
Right, experienced doers that can come in and have an impact on the business, doing a function. We're stoked about this fractional space, and there's been huge uptake. We're actually, so as Brandon said, we've got sales partners that are experienced personal producers in our industry and have experience leading and mentoring teams of restoration salespeople. And then on the ops partner side, we've got mentors that they're all past owners. And we've got a growing roster of fractional COOs, which we're also super excited about, which will literally step onto somebody's org chart and lead that function in the business, which I think most restores, even Brandon and I back in the day, we would have jumped at something like that. To have somebody come in, fill that function and model and help us learn internally what that role's supposed to look like. So anyways, that's all happening as we continue to expand Floodlight. So we're pumped.
yeah, excited. Yeah.
So with your roles at Brandon, you want to add something else before I switch?
Well, it's probably not needed, but this is kind of like default behavior. I'm just thinking about like an example that connects to that, right? So, is it okay if I talk about another company?
Yeah.
If I mention another company, so we have a really interesting relationship with Backbone CFO. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet them yet.
I've
They've
not.
started to show up at some events, and they're starting to do some more public teaching and training. They are a phenomenal fractional CFO entity, just an unbelievably great team in what they do. So anyway, here's my point. So I'm talking to these guys, and we're walking through kind of some of our plans for some upcoming initiatives, and as part of that, they use the term, "Well, we will roll up our sleeves and get to work alongside of you." And my point is, like, my reaction chemically to that versus someone saying, "We will strategically guide you and give you direction," was so obvious that I think it's just another affirmation of if I'm experiencing that as a leader when I talk to a potential partner relationship, then inevitably the rest of us are too when we're trying to build our entities. And so it's just, I just think at the end of the day, all of us don't want to be somebody drowning and getting handed a baby. And often that's what it feels like, in a consulting relationship. So we're just trying to be more creative and come at that from a different angle.
I get that. Yeah. You do an entrepreneur life, you just keep innovating and finding the way. And I love it. So do you have some kind of parameters around this, fractional space where I know a lot of consulting companies, I'm guessing Floodlight is the same. You look at territories and it's like, okay, if we have a sales rep that is a fractional something or CFO or whatever role it is, COO in this market, we're not going to send somebody else from Floodlight at a competing restoration company in that market. Is there something like that you're going to be doing?
Yeah, so consultants are all like their book of business will be very protected. And so you're
Yes.
not going to have consultants trying to split time and strategy between, multiple contractors in a similar market. Outside of that though, as an organization, and I think this is important to talk about because I think it's one of those things that can become a little bit of an elephant in the room is information is free.
Yep.
Like there's no silver bullet. Like when a floodlight consultant or partner is working with a team, it's not like in their back pocket is this thing that's never been done in service companies ever
Yeah.
before. And so I think sometimes we really get spun out on the wrong element, like the wrong variable in the equation. The reality of it is that
Mm.
if you had two companies in the same market, often they both are going to know the same stuff. The ones that ask for some help and implementation are the ones that win. So I think really what it boils down to here is no, we're not going to have two, we're not going to be trying to partner with two companies simultaneously and having them dogfight in the same market. But look, the information that we're talking about, it's free, it's everywhere, it's not hidden behind paywalls. So do you want to partner in execution or not? And if you don't, you don't. Cool. You know what I mean? So I hope that comes across right.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes we just get stuck on the wrong variable, and I think the effect of that is it doesn't help us solve the problem better.
Yeah.
Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know.
It does. Yep. So talk a little bit more about your roles at FP. I mean, I know you guys are Pacific Northwest. FP is obviously Florida. I don't think either of you are moving as far as I know. So what is your day-to-day? What are the roles going to look like with FP specifically?
Yeah, sure. You want to hit
Yeah,
that?
I can start with that. So I'm going to head up growth. I think my official title is Chief Sales Officer,
Sure.
and I so my intent. I'm going to be periodically going back and forth.
Sure.
I was talking to a buddy last night about this and this very thing, and I mean the real answer is I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. I mean the cool thing about our floodlight business is it's always been remote, and so I can do what needs to be done with that business from wherever I'm at.
Yep.
The other thing too is that all of us on the leadership team are very committed to integrating spouses and family into this, and so it'll be pretty common for us every other trip or however often we can to bring our spouses. I'm going to bring my boys out. I've got a long weekend between some stuff in Fort Myers here coming up, and I'm going to take the boys to I don't know the Everglades or Disney World or something, something fun. So they'll fly out and hang with me in between stuff. Um, but my focus and my role is going to be all around creating not only supporting our sales team across all of Florida, but really building out the vision, both how we're going to leverage technology and how we're going to build out the talent on the team to go where we want to go. Right. So all things growth. There's a customer experience component that Brandon and I are really passionate about. Anybody who's listened to our content knows that the way we look at sales, which is we look at what are the problems, where are the underserved clients,
Yep.
and those are the ones we're hunting for, and what are the problems, pain points, irritations, and frustrations they deal with when it comes to contractors, and then how do we take that intel from the field and bring it to Brandon and Wayne and Steve so that we can implement systems, processes, and people to solve for those things. We do that, we're going to win, and we're going to win over and over and over again. And so part of my role is going to be managing kind of that connection between sales and ops so that we've got sales reps out in the field that are supremely confident and
Mhm.
convicted about what they're selling, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I think coming up to this opportunity, there's so many variables, so many boxes that have to be checked in order for you to come into it really confident that this is the right combination and the right relationship. And so many of those boxes were getting checked as we were literally just having the conversation. This being one of them in the sense of, is there a real clear team dynamic where we're not stepping on each other or somebody's almost getting neutered in terms of their value
Yeah.
because we have so much overlap. And one of the things that's interesting about Steve, long before anything to do with us, first off, the guy's a total goat. Like
Yeah.
we have been around a lot of really amazing people. I don't think I've ever met a human that can work as hard or as long into the day as that guy can. The amount of lift he was able to do in his own business with very little additional support. Grant, he had a team, but I think I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Unbelievable. I mean, he's just a force to be reckoned with just in and of itself. And I think ultimately we keep joking around the fact that he was like a single core processor and now he's a quad core processor just overnight. And now our ability to kind of, share the lift and really get into our own lanes for optimal output is really clear. So Chris is leading the sales and growth side. Steve has a really unique role inside the company as a president. His primary focus is going to be on strategic partnerships and then really large kind of key fundamental accounts. And so, again, him being always transparent and super sharing, it only makes sense for us to want to create partnerships with other great companies across the US. Our intent is to not be an international, national business. We're going to be predominantly banked right there in Florida, but we want to create a bunch of partnerships with really good companies and share that momentum. And he's going to play a massive role in that. Obviously, on the large loss storm side, he's just just a complete monster, and so he will continue to help us make sure that we're the very best, storm and event operator we can be. Wayne is going to really cover down as a COO, and his strength is it's not background or experience in the industry; it's his ability to get the best out of people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really excited to have him in that lane, supporting all the different operations managers in their own markets, really empowering them to be the very best they can be so that we can really get that lift in each one of those markets but locally. And then my role, fortunately, and I feel ridiculously honored, is I will be sitting in the CEO seat, and a big part of vision and where we want to go strategically in terms of the kind of company we want to create. I get to play a really great part in that. And I get to dig into a passion of mine, which I'm really excited about, is kind of under that executive layer. I get to focus predominantly on culture and our hiring and recruiting practices. And so that's my zone. Like, I get to hang out and really be a part of building the team of tomorrow. And that's I can't sleep already about it. So it's just, I'm super pumped about it. I can barely stay in my own chair most of the time right now.
Okay, so that was my next question. What are you two most excited about for this next phase? I mean, 5 years in business, and I can remember, you were baby entrepreneurs kind of around the same time that I was, and we were all just figuring it out. I remember when you hired Wayne, and you went through some reiterations of the podcast and all the things. So, and now you're here. So you've done keynotes at shows. I mean, big evolution here. So what are you most excited about now?
Well, the very first thing that comes to mind, and Brandon and I batted this back and forth a bunch of times. I'm really stoked for Wayne. Like, we just met Wayne like less than 2 years ago, and we didn't meet him. Brandon and he had a relationship previously. We all met him back when we were at Belfour for this window of time, and then he came back into our life. But we've only been working together really for the last
short period.
A very short period of time. And I don't know. I just am really excited for him. He's going to be a real shining star in this whole equation. As far as sales, I mean, I've been doing this my whole career, but I'm really excited. And this is on the heels of a conversation I was just having with Steve. We have the scale and momentum at FP right now for us to really be intentional about how we build. And my intention is for us to really innovate here in terms of how we look at sales, how we talk about the role, how we communicate to our prospects and our clients, and how we leverage technology. I've been a sales rep as long as I've been a sales leader, manager. And so I know, having sold for several different companies, the things that most irritate and annoy very high producing, successful salespeople.
Yep.
And through the use of technology, we're really going to try to minimize those distractions and those frustrations to create a team that has a lot of freedom and supreme focus to do what they do, and so leveraging technology and really exploring different ways we can better integrate our CRMs, better integrate a lot of the tracking solutions now, so people aren't spending 20-30% of their time updating Salesforce and like putting, you know what I mean? These are the things that irritate the hell out of salespeople.
Yes.
And I
don't
think
get done.
now,
Don't get done.
and I think so many companies, because it does take a lot of effort and investment, they just kind of keep along with good enough.
Yeah.
And there's an opportunity in front of us to just say, no, 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 no. Let's build something that's truly scalable and allows us to recruit the very best salespeople in the industry and create a place they really enjoy working, you know? Uh,
Mhm.
so I'm stoked about that. I'm stoked about the mission too. You know, Brandon knows I really love, like, I'm so motivated by finding the underserved customer,
Mhm.
right? Like, it doesn't even go into my brain the idea of just arbitrarily, let's take out this competitor or not. It's like I am just so laser focused on let's find the underserved customers, let's win that way. Let's give
Yeah.
them something better. And so anyway, that's what I'm always jamming on. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a little bit like Michelle. You're probably gonna pick this. It's almost like you wind up a freaking spring, and then you it's like ask one question like, "Why are you excited?" and you hit go, and it's like just 4 hours straight of brain dump. But
Yeah.
I think for me, this is just a returning back to what I've always been the most motivated by and or excited when I was a part of it, and that is
Mhm.
I really enjoy building an entity that creates space for people to evolve.
Yeah.
And you know, with there's so much optimism about FP because again, everything that Steve had worked so hard for 14 years to put into place,
Mm.
we get to do that stuff right away. Like
Yeah.
we're not in that place where, you know, and this is not a knock on anybody. It's just like we're fortunate because this grind is
Yes.
hard when you're in the early phases.
Yep.
We're beyond that and we get to do some of that second tier stuff and it's just really exciting. And so for us, like for us to create a culture and an environment, a recruiting and a development system where people can come in and have a worldview, and over time that view get bigger, broader, and more specialized because they believe in themselves more. They're gaining skills, they're understanding what's possible, they're seeing around more corners. Man, if we can do that at scale, that's going to be just one hell of a mission from my perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what about the podcast? Anything happening with the podcast? What are you going to talk about now?
Yeah, good question. We're gonna go public with this process. So that was a commitment we made as a team. And again, I think similar to those that listen to Head, Heart, and Boots, they understand like we're rarely preaching at the audience because we've got it all figured out. That's not the world we live in more times than not. It's more of a here's where our head is, here's what we're learning or experiencing. And we don't want to do anything different. Like FP now is, you know, transparently, I think restorers are always going to have in the back of their head a little bit like if you can't do it, you teach. And so there's this part of us too that because we respect the industry and the operators so much, like honestly, there's part of us that just wants to be an operator again so that we can sit next to our fellow peers at the table and be like doing the hard shit right alongside of
And just
them.
be peers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just like, hey, we're in the trench too, and some weeks we got it figured out and some weeks we don't.
Yep.
And we plan to live that story out with FP, and the show is already a great conduit for us to share that experience with, and we'll just do more of that.
Yes, and that was one of the other things that so excited us about the opportunity is Steve is fully on board with that because he's been doing it already. Just building FP in public, very transparent. You know, one of my gosh, this was almost 2 years ago. Steve and I went up to Montreal to DKI, had a combined USA and Canada conference. And Steve and I got on stage and I kind of interviewed him, having been a client at that point for 2.5 years or something. And what I love about Steve is he is completely comfortable sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mhm.
Right? So, you know, he and openly in front of a room of 300 restores, some in his markets and many up in Canada. He was just very comfortable. Like, hey, yeah, we were really struggling with this. Been working on this and that, internally, and here's the wins that have started to come from that. And so yeah, our intention is just continue building in public and to amplify it and to become even more transparent, frankly.
Yeah, maybe a bit more proactive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like right now, it's almost kind of like as things pop up. I think one thing that will, and again, we're saying think a lot. All of this, some of these elements are going to be live, right? We'll come up, build the ship as we're sailing it. But my intention is to start casting a vision on the show in terms of where we're headed. Like, how are we thinking globally about the company and what we intend to do? And then start on a week in and week out basis breaking down where we're going to work, where it's failing, where it's working, where we're winning, where we're losing, and to give people an opportunity to just parallel us as they do it in their own business.
I would just add one more thing on the HHB thing. The most rewarding, I think, and I think this journey with FP will be similarly so, just because there's going to be a lot of vulnerability attached to that for us and for the whole team and so forth. But a lot of the most rewarding text messages that we get are things that have nothing to do with restoration. The heart stuff that we talk about. I mean, those that listen to the show know that Brandon and I are pretty transparent about marriage and fathering and even sort of where we're at sort of in our spiritual disciplines and spiritual life and those are the most rewarding things when people will reach out to us and be like, hey, that show on this or that, health, another thing too. Just Brandon and I are on a journey of trying to take care of ourselves, and
getting old, you have
whatever, and I want to continue doubling down on that. I know Brandon does too. So I think our intention is to just go deeper, just continue to go deeper with the podcast. And one of the themes that we set out to, I think, really hang in is we want to help restorers and anybody who listens feel less alone. Like everybody's heard the phrase, it's lonely at the top. And whether you're a department manager or you're an owner, it's lonely.
It is.
And it's lonely in a very particular way. You have a lot of burden on your shoulders. And sure, we can share that with our spouses and friends. But, they may not understand fully and be able to fully relate to what's going on. And so I think the more transparent Brandon and I can be, not because we're special, but actually because we're not special. And hopefully that's the message that people can relate to it, because it's like, we're just dudes. We're just normal dudes. And I think the more transparent and honest we are about all the various things happening in our life, the less people feel alone. And I think that's a certain kind of attachment people have had to the show.
Yeah.
Is that it's been more than just, hey, how do we manage projects better? Or how do we focus our company more on the KPIs and lead from the numbers and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Is there anything that we have not touched on that you guys want to talk about?
Yeah. So the hunting season didn't. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think so. I mean, those are all the big things, right? World things that we're consumed by right now and excited about. So, I mean, in general, if anybody has questions about some of this stuff, like we've had a few people reach out. We've had some kind of larger entities want to ask some questions, like, what does this mean now that you own, a restoration, or you're partnered on a restoration company again? And I mean, maybe just elephant in the room. Like, look, we've been fully open book on anything we've learned and tried to date. We're committed to being a fully open book on everything we continue to learn and try. And so really from our perspective, nothing changes. And my hope is that doesn't make anybody uncomfortable, but you know what? If it does, you want to chat about it, obviously reach out. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You could have finished it the first way you were going to say it. It's all right.
I'm turning over a new leaf, Michelle.
Yeah, sure you are.
Yeah, okay.
We're in good company here. I would have said it the first way. I get it. Kudos to you both on this journey. I know that both of you are very intentional in the decisions that you make. So I cannot imagine the number of hours that you two and Wayne spent talking about this with each other and your spouses and Steve and all of that. I know that you would not have ever made big jumps in any direction without having really thought it through, been really strategic, and really had kind of everybody's best futures at heart. So
yeah.
Hey, can I say one more thing too that I'm excited about? Right about now, I'm really excited about leaving Oregon periodically and spending more time in Florida where the sun is shining.
Yeah, you can't see this, but you look outside and the unicloud is starting in the Pacific Northwest.
Unicloud. Is that what you guys call it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 51 and drizzling as you walk from your car to the building.
Yeah.
And Brandon and I were just in Clearwater Beach
Mhm.
yesterday,
One time.
for the One Tom's annual conference, and we were sitting out on the beach. We had a little bit of a break and just kind of dreaming and whatever. And we thought, man, this ain't too shabby, you know?
Oh, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be
Yeah,
Gonna be
okay.
okay.
Your
Yeah.
wives and your kids will also thank you, for
that's
sure.
right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Right.
That's
Well,
right.
congrats to both of you. I look forward to seeing you at shows and continuing on the journey with you. And thanks for sharing the story here. And I know people did have questions, so hopefully this helps clear up some of those questions. And good luck moving forward.
No, thanks so much,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
For more restoration today and the latest news, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, and find the latest episodes of the Restoration Today podcast on your favorite podcasting platform.